Let's look at your subconscious. Some of you have heard me talk about these statistics before. A 2010 Harvard study tells us that 45% of the time we are lost in thought. That is 45% of our waking time we are lost in thought. That means that you're either going to be listening in this half of the day or this afternoon, and I won't know which. And there'll be times during the course of today, in all seriousness, where you'll be lost in thought, because that's the way concentration works. Is anyone surprised or alarmed by that statistic? Yeah? That's because most of the time, or 45% of the time, or thereabouts, we are entirely unconscious. Not unconscious in the literal sense, but unconscious in the sense that our subconscious mind is running what's going on here. And the other frightening statistic is that 67% of our thoughts, the thoughts of an average human being, are either negative or redundant. And what the study meant when it talked about that was, we as human beings spend 67% of our time either thinking about... I didn't put that on, by the way. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I can't control the police. We spend 67% of our time either fretting about things in the past, rerunning about how it wasn't fair, why did she do that, he shouldn't have spoken to me in that way, nursing the victim mentality about how it was so difficult, or we spend our time fretting about things that may or may not happen in the future. We have got this amazing 3-pound weight in our head, and that's what we use it for. Nearly 2/3 of our life, we use this absolutely incredible mass for things that we cannot influence, we cannot control, and in relation to things in the past, we can just put down if we choose to. So what this session is all about this morning is, let's make a choice. Let's make a choice to shift our perspective so that we can be these incredible human beings. Because another statistic that comes from Fred Lusky's research is that 90% of the thoughts you have today will be the same as the thoughts you had yesterday. Now, we have somewhere between 60,000 and 70,000 thoughts a day. That means that 54,000 of the thoughts you have today will be the same as the thoughts you had yesterday. Is anyone astonished by that? You are just running on repeat because you're running on your unconscious. But you can choose to change that, like that. Now, that doesn't mean we want to change everything about that. You don't want to wake up in the morning and go, what do I do now? Oh yeah, shower, that's right. Or get your trainers out and go, oh, right, these laces things, what do... So the autonomic and automatic systems work like a dream. But a big chunk of that 67% is just wasted opportunity. So that's the bit that I would love to shift. That's the bit that I would love to bring into the conscious and really shift so that we can improve our relationships, improve our work, improve our experience, improve our levels of calm, happiness and fulfillment. So back to Grace and Kirsty. Your focus was on me because I was talking. I had the mic. And your focus wasn't just on me. I could feel that so many of you were excited and focused from a place of support for me, for which I really appreciate. So that when that was threatened, your focus tightened. And the thing about focus is that it determines what we notice. There's somewhere between 70,000 and 110,000 pieces of stimuli coming at us during the course of a day. And the stimuli in this room at that moment were several. There was the noise on the outside of the door, there was me speaking, and then my face. I was trying to act as if, and I think I convinced some of you, I was trying to act as if I was pretty shocked. There was a consciousness about one another in the room, and you looking at one another, and then Sally being the only one who actually got up and did something about it, just making that point again. Thank you, Sally. But the point is that the more that we focus rigidly on something, the tighter that becomes, and the less able we are to gather all of the other information that's available to us. And that is a real design fault in us as humans when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to priming ourselves to fulfill our personal potential. So let me give you another example. Has anyone bought a car that's new to them in the last 2 or 3 years? Stick your hand up. Okay. Charlotte, what did you buy? A Vauxhall Mokka. And when you before you bought the Vauxhall Mokka, was that absolutely the car that you wanted? Okay. So you set your heart on that car, and the minute you've decided that's where your focus is, you go out in your existing car and there are Vauxhall Mokkas all over the place. Is that right? You know what I'm talking about. You get pregnant and suddenly there's pregnancy-related paraphernalia flying around all over the place. You think about selling your house and oh my God, every house in your street is for sale. Nobody's ever going to buy mine if you're a glass half empty kind of person. So we've got 70 to 110,000 pieces of stimuli firing at us. Do you know what percentage you can consciously notice? Have a guess. And those from Scott McCreef, if you don't know this figure, I've told you this before. So 10%. 10%. Now think about that in the context of relationships. If you have a particular perspective on someone, then, and your perspective, you're absolutely certain that it's right, then your focus has completely narrowed and you will get what you focus on. So let's think about a work situation. So Hannah, you used to fill a management role and you managed a team of 3, and the people in your team were Marie and Karen and Sandra, okay? And then I've come to take over the team, and I'm new to the company, but we've got a period of time during which we're both working, and you say, Emma, I'm going to take you out for coffee and I'm going to tell you all about Marie and Karen and Sandra. And so you take me for a coffee and you sit me down and you say, okay, let me tell you about Marie. Marie went for your job. She didn't get it. That's the 3rd promotion in a row she's gone for. She is really demotivated and she is out to get you. I would watch her back with Marie. She's quite insidious. I would watch her back. And then you turn to Karen and you say, well, Karen's been here for a month or 2 and she's settling in. She's so bubbly, always chatty, but I just don't know if there's any substance under that yet. So, you know, she's still in the first 100 days and we're kind of road testing her. We're trialing her, see how she goes. Sandra is a safe pair of hands. She's been here for years and she really knows the territory, and she'll be a great number 2, a great person for you to lean on if you need to lean on her. So armed with that information, I'm looking at Hannah going off to her new job, and I'm planning my one-to-ones with Marie and Karen and Sandra. But before that happens, I'm in the open plan work area, and I notice a way off where Amy's sitting in the corner. I notice that Amy's standing up. She's not sitting because it's open plan. There are seats in open plan, but just bear with me. So Amy's in the corner, and I notice that Marie is talking to Amy, and I'm too far away to hear what they're saying to one another. But I can see that Marie is gesticulating like this. Now, what am I to assume? Because I'm going to notice it, am I right? Because my focus is right on Marie. She's one for the watching. So am I going to notice it? And what am I going to assume? What conclusion might I jump to? She's talking about me in a supportive way? Absolutely not. She's gunning for me. So I've just seen something that I know confirms that what Hannah told me was right. Isn't that the case? Ah, well, there we are. And then, imagine it's not Marie, imagine it's Karen. Same thing. Hands up, gesticulating in exactly the same way. I'll notice it because it's unusual behaviour, isn't it? What assumption will I jump to?
There's lovely Karen.
There's lovely Karen. I mean, she's settling in well. I wonder how she's doing. I wonder how she's doing. Lovely and bubbly. Karen just goes around the whole workplace like this. Lovely and bubbly. But I might wonder if everything's okay, but it's going to be a little more benign. Would you agree with that? A little more neutral. Mm-hmm. And then there's Sandra. Same thing. So I don't see Marie or Karen. In fact, it's Sandra that I see over there. gesticulating with Amy. What assumption, what conclusion do I jump to? See, I wonder, poor Sandra, I hope she's okay. Now here's the point at which it really matters. When I sit down to do my one-to-ones with Marie and Karen and Sandra, I sit down to do my one-to-one with Marie. Now Marie's state of mind might actually be, Hannah and I didn't get on. And I didn't get the job, and I wanted the job, and I'm really disappointed about that. But Hannah and I just didn't get on, and I'm so glad to have a fresh start with Emma. I'm so glad that we can wipe the slate clean, and I'm ready to get my head down, and I want to work hard. Except that what Marie's going to get from me is something she recognises, and let me tell you why. Because when we have narrowed our focus, when we get what we expect from the behaviour, because we've narrowed our focus, that triggers our thinking. And every single thought fires a neuropeptide that we know as an emotion. So my emotion with Marie, having seen that, is I'm wary, maybe a little angry, maybe a little irritated, but I'm certainly wary. And as I sit down, the meaning in the face-to-face communication that Marie is going to take is going to be largely from my tone of voice and my body language. Because my thoughts are, I am wary of Marie, but my words might be, hi Marie, just going to have a one-to-one, really interested in what you think's working well with the team at the moment, what's not, etc., etc. But my words and my thoughts are not congruent. And whenever there's a lack of congruence between those two things, then your words account for about 7% of the meaning. The tone of voice, about 38%. And the body language, what goes on around here, and I can't control my eyebrows. And anyone who's seen my videos will know I can't control my eyebrows. And I don't know which one it is, but there's one keeps disappearing. And none of us can, the nostrils, eyebrows, all of those little the meta messages that we send. 55%. So 93% of my communication with Marie is going to be saying, I do not trust you. And we are so evolved as human beings that despite the words, Marie is going to pick up and recognise that same old behaviour that she recognised with Hannah. And the relationship dynamic snaps back into place. And I get what I expect, which is a defensiveness, a wariness of me, a failure to make eye contact in a million different ways. I will leave that meeting believing that I was right. Does that make sense to you? And we as human beings do that all the time. So the first shift that I'm inviting you to think about is to broaden your perspective, broaden your focus. Because Marie is not just about that one incident and what Hannah thinks. In fact, what Hannah thinks should not be of any interest at all to me unless it concerns a value like trust or integrity. If it's something I really need to know, wipe that slate clean, start afresh, and keep your perspective as broad as you can. And let me remind you, if you're having any shifts right now, please write them down because we will have a shift stroke. So let's do another quick exercise. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you 20 seconds to look around the room and notice anything that's red. I'm just glad that Carol's pitched up here. So I want you to notice anything that's red. Don't write it down yet because I'm going to give you 10 seconds to put pen to paper in a moment. So don't write anything down. I'll tell you when to write. Please don't write anything down until you get my instructions. So 10 seconds, 20 seconds, look around the room now and notice anything that's, and there's a prize for someone who gets the most things noted down. Anything that's red. Okay, time up. Pen at the ready. Don't write anything down yet, please. Don't write anything down. 10 seconds to write down as many things as you can that are green in the room. Don't look around. Don't look around. Don't look around. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time up. Pens down. Okay. Did anyone get 10 things? Did anyone get 7 things? Did anyone get 5 things? God, You're not very good at this, are you? Oh, yes, Wendy, well done. Did you get 5 things? Okay, you get no points for red, just green. Okay, just green, that's all you were writing down, just green. Okay. 3, anyone get 3? Oh, right, 4. Who got 4? Okay, we've got 4 people with 4 and not enough prizes. So, we do really have enough prizes. So who's got 4? Kirsty, and I can't see who's sitting. You're making it up, aren't you, Marie? Did you? Right, okay. Those people who got 4, come to me in the break and you'll get your prize. Okay, and everybody got under 4. So again, we get what we focus on. Your mind is also can only gather 7 pieces of information at one time unless you use association, which is what I use for remembering names. So all those people who think that they can't remember names, you're just falling into the 7-bit trap. You need to use association. But the point is you get what you focus on. And when your thoughts get triggered and they fire that neuropeptide, that's the emotion, then you get into either a virtuous cycle or a vicious cycle, because every thought you have fires an emotion, every emotion you have triggers a thought. So you tend to get caught in that cycle, and it's like iron filings to a magnet. So you know those days when you wake up and you're just in a bad mood and everything's pants? Well, that's like iron filings to a magnet. You need to consciously make that shift if you don't want to stay in that 67% all day.